questions?
They have been sent to me by some anonymous. What was the message behind Shakshi Gopal's pastime?
What was the message behind Sakshi Gopal's pastimes? There's many messages behind Sakshi Gopal's pastimes. So let us look at the pastime. The pastime is that two Brahmins are traveling to Vrindavan. One of them is an old man who's from a wealthy aristocratic family. He's a Brahmin. The other is a young man who is very pious, a devotee, who feels that his duty is to serve the elderly Brahmin. So he serves him heart and soul. So then when they're at the Gopal temple in Vrindavan, the old man tells the young man that you have served me very nicely, and I want to give you my daughter's hand in marriage. I want to offer my daughter to you to be your wife. And the young man strongly objects, and he said, this cannot be, and this will not happen. This is very difficult that this will happen because you're from a wealthy aristocratic family, and I'm very poor, I'm uneducated, and I'm not a qualified match for your daughter. Such things never happen. And the elderly Brahmin insists over and over again and says, my daughter, I can promise her to you in marriage, and I am able to do so, so do not doubt me. And he insists he will do it. Then the young man says, well, if you really are so insistent on this, then say so in front of the Gopal deity. And then the old man comes before the deity and promises that I will give my daughter's hand in marriage to this person who served me so nicely. And then the young man says, so my lord, I'm calling you to be a witness to this. Then when they go back to their town, which is Vidyanagar in South India, then the old man comes before his family, and he tells them that he's promised to give his daughter in marriage to this young. Let me just get the book. I just read this. I read this pastime yesterday and the day before. Okay, they're both Brahmins. The young man is a Brahmin also, but he's poor and he's uneducated. So when the old man when the old man goes before his family and tells them, everyone objects, and they say they will not allow this to happen. And his wife says that she and her sons, if such a thing were to happen, they would take poison and commit suicide. And like this, and just in general, there's a lot of objections. And then the old man is very distressed, and he says, well, how can I've given my word of honor? And then his son, who's an atheist, says, oh, you don't actually have to lie. Just say that you don't remember. You don't remember saying this. So this is a favorite trick in political circles. People say that they don't remember. they don't remember this happening. So then they have the comment, well, what did you forget and when did you forget it? They have that kind of comment about a joke about in political circles. Anyway, so the son says, just say that you don't remember saying this. So then the young man comes and he calls a meeting of the town people, and town people come and they ask the young man says, what happens? And then what happened? And then the people ask the older Brahmin, and the older Brahmin says, like the son told him to do. Well, I don't remember anything. And then the young Brahmin, the son of the old man says, well, when they used to, my father would travel to the holy places, he carried a lot of money. And the young man, seeing this money, robbed my father and then gave my father some form of poison that made him go mad. And now this young man is has no shame, and he wants to also claim my father's daughter. So so all these things are happening and the townspeople don't know. And then the young Brahmin, he says, well, just listen, that this old man, he's actually very pious, but he's afraid of his family dying or giving some strong objection. So I will go to call the Gopal in Vrindavan as a witness. And the son of the old Brahmin thinks, yes, let him call the witness. The witness is far away and he can't come here. So who needs to worry about that? So the young man goes back to Vrindavan and he tells the deity of Gopal that you have to come. And then the deity says, well, how can I go there? And the young Brahmin says, well, you're talking to me. How can you talk? So then if you can talk, you can also walk. So then the deity says, all right, you travel and feed me 1 kilo of rice every day, and I will follow you. And don't turn around to see me. If you turn around to see me, I will immediately stop, wherever that is. So then the young man follows, and the young man can tell the deity is following him because he can hear Krishna's ankle bells. So when they get near Vidyanagar, then he thinks, okay, this is close enough. And then he turns around and tells the deity, well, this is good, you can stay here. And the deity says, all right, I will wait. And then he brings the town people, and then the town people all come, and they're amazed how this big deity has come all that way. And then the man immediately arranges for his daughter to marry the young Brahmin. And then the deity tells them that you two Brahmins are my eternal servants and everything. So then what is the message? The question is, what is the message? And as I said, first of all, there's many messages. And you can see that everything is arranged by faith, that the young Brahmin, he has so much faith in the Lord, he's not even considering that it's impossible for the deity to travel so far. The deity is so big. There's no consideration like that. The faith, and you can say message is that the Lord can do anything to satisfy his devotee, first of all, and that the devotee has so much faith in the Lord that all this is possible. And Guru Maharaj used to say, we're living on the platform of faith. Shraddha. Everything is a question of our faith. And in this world, people have faith in material things, and they're able to do many things based on their faith in material things. They believe in money, so they can work hard and gather money and accomplish many things. But a devotee's faith is not in something very like of little substance, like something of this world, but the devotee's faith is able to achieve this. And then there's other sub-messages about the message of serving Brahmins, and that Krishna is known Namo Brahmanya Deva, Go Brahmane Tayacha. Krishna is very dear to both the cows and to the Brahmins. So this is a story based on faith, and by seeing this faith, then a miracle happened, that this deity traveled so far. This is a miracle. This cannot happen. How can a deity from Vrindavan walk all the way to South India and show everyone that the deity is Sakshi? Sakshi means witness Gopal. The Gopal deity was a witness to the promise of the elderly Brahmin. And we can see, even though the family of the Brahmin didn't care that he had made a promise, they all knew he made a promise, but they were not willing to let him keep his promise. And still the Lord protected there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says, Chipram bhavati dharmatma yashats chantim nirachati. What is it? Kontiya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. This verse means that Krishna tells Arjuna, you declare it to the world that my devotee will never be vanquished. So someone can say, well, Krishna sometimes he breaks his word. He doesn't always keep his word. Like when he promised to the Kurus and to the Pandavas, he wouldn't lift any weapons. But when Bhishma Dev was going to was fighting so heavily that Arjuna was going to be defeated and killed, then Krishna lifted a broken chariot wheel from the battlefield and ran at Bhishma Dev with this weapon to kill him. And Bhishma was like, yes, my lord, you can kill me, whatever is your desire. But Krishna had lied. Krishna had not told the truth. Krishna promised he wouldn't lift any weapon, but he did, to save his devotee Arjuna. So then Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Kontiya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. He says, Arjuna, you declare it. Because if I declare it, people will say, well, Krishna sometimes breaks his promise. But if you declare it, people will know that I will break my promise to keep my devotee's promise. I will not let my devotee's promise be broken. So he says, Kontiya pratijanihi. You declare it, Arjuna. Declare it to the world. My devotee will never be vanquished. So this is a promise of Krishna's, that he will always keep his devotee's promise intact. He will never allow his devotee to be vanquished. And this story also of Sakshi Gopal shows that Krishna will not allow his devotee to be vanquished or his devotee's promise to be broken. Although Krishna doesn't care if his own promise is broken. That's not so That's not so serious to Krishna, that his own promise may be broken. Krishna is above all considerations of morality, of what is correct and what is incorrect. But he has some strong inclination towards this devotee. So I don't know. This is Anonymous's question. What is the message of the story? And then I said, there's many other messages in the story. How, there's many messages regarding, there's also the saying that you can take gold even from a dirty place. There's one saying like that. So if pure gold is in piece of pure gold is in a latrine, then somebody can go into that latrine and bring that pure gold out. So it is also said that you can take pure gold from a dirty place. You can accept a woman from a man can accept a woman from an unqualified family. And there are other examples like that, how the idea of taking gold from a dirty place. So the idea is here also given is that even though this young man is from an unqualified family, as you can take gold from a dirty place, also you can take a qualified person or a qualified devotee, even from a poor or unqualified family. And we see that. We're not interested that somebody just be from a Brahmin family, but we also see that that persons who are born in all parts of the world, they can take the devotional service and they can be more than Brahmins. This was one message that Prabhupada established when he began initiating people from the Western world, that even though they're born in Western countries and not even within the Vedic society, they're still, those who became devotees are more than Brahmins. And he showed that, and he had that faith in Guru Maharaj. And this is the whole message of our devotional service. Guru Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj are showing how qualified devotees can come from any place. And one should see that they're more like, what we heard one example given. If your house is being attacked, and there's some persons who are very skinny and inept and not able to fight, but they're from Kshatriya families. Would you rather have their help, or would you rather have the help of some people who are very strong and very valiant and able to fight, but they're not from Kshatriya families? Who cares? If some skinny, unqualified person's from a Kshatriya family, what do we care? We'd rather have, some big, strong Aravinda Lochan type people to defend the devotees than some small, unqualified Brahmins. Anyway, there are many stories, many messages. This young Brahmin, he's not educated, he's not qualified, he's not from an aristocratic family, but you can see by comparison, he's better than all the sons of the elderly Brahmin. He's more qualified. And sometimes you can see that, I was talking to somebody weeks ago, and she was telling me, this person was telling me that she preferred to get a mascot, a dog. She preferred to get them from a rescue society rather than have some purebred neurotic dog. They have so much inbreeding of dogs that some of them are puggle. They're puggle dogs, just like you can have pure aristocratic people that they're puggle, so much inbreeding, they're not able to do anything. So you can understand that. And I saw that we had some lockers here some lockers at our ashram here in Sokel that they wanted to give away because they didn't need them. So one man came here to get those lockers. And he took the lockers that he could use, and then in his car he had a dog, and he told me that he had got this dog from a rescue society in Asia. They sent over a whole, what do you call them on the planes? They have those cargo holders. And they sent over a whole cargo of dogs, rescue dogs. And his dog was going to be eaten. He had a dog that was going to be eaten in China. This dog was scheduled to be eaten. But he paid to have this dog rescued and sent over. The dog was sent over in this container of dogs. And he had this one dog, and oh, the dog was so nice, such a wonderful dog I could see. And he was going to be somebody's dinner in China, but he'd been rescued. So I think I would rather have a rescue dog like that than some thoroughbred Dalmatian or thoroughbred Labrador Retriever, a Golden Retriever. Rather have some mutt who was a good companion, just as a person would rather have a nice wife, even if she was from, I could make some joke, and I could say, even if she was from this country or that country, and then people would say, what? Why are you mentioning these countries? But I'm just saying, she may be a wife from a third world country, but why would anybody care if the person was a good devotee and very qualified, even though she's not of pure English blood, not a blue, what do they call it? Not a blue blood. Right?
Maharaj, I can share a picture that Krishna Kishore shared of Sakshi Gopal.
Krishna Kishore said what?
He sent the picture, he's posted the picture of the deity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in India, I guess.
He saw Sakshi Gopal in India recently or not?
Yes, this was part of the parikram. We went to see Sakshi Gopal.
And they let you into the temple?
You brown.
Yes, Maharaj. They only looked externally and saw that I'm brown, and that was good enough.
Did they let other Westerners into the temple?
They know brown.
No, only there was me and the Singaporeans, but anyone else doesn't even try and get in,
Okay, and how did you take the picture?
Quickly, before they noticed.
With your phone?
Yes.
How do I share the screen? Anyone know?
It's in the chat if Maharaj wants to see. I don't know how to share.
And is that throne, the deity's on it, is he what? What's that around the deity? Is that silver?
Let me get the picture up again. I can't see it myself.
There seems to be some curtain behind him, but the deity seems to be,
There is a curtain, but there's like a metal almost frame, I guess, of some sort that he sat on.
Okay.
Deity. Is it a big temple for that deity? Are you not allowed to go in?
It's mainly Indians who are meant to go in there. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
I can send some more pictures in there and you can share.
How far is that from Puri?
That was like probably about an hour and a half drive, something like that.
It's in Cuttack?
I cannot remember. Let me check. It is. I've got it on a map here where it was. It's about 20 kilometers from Jagannath Puri on the Puri Bhubaneswar highway.
Is it in Cuttack though?
Cuttack? Doesn't say here. I can find out. I'll have a look, Maharaj, see if I can find out. Yes, Cuttack, yes. Cuttack.
Okay. Very nice. Now, let's see.
Dandava Pranam Maharaj, sorry about before you were calling me and I couldn't answer. Dandava devotees.
Who was that?
Falguni with my mother.
Falguni and your mother.
Yes.
Hi.
Falguni and Mrs. Falguni.
Mrs. Pargoni. Exact.
Dandava Maharaj, nice to see you.
Where are you?
I'm in Spain with my mother and my family.
You're
So
in
we are
where?
In Spain, somewhere.
Cantabria, Cantabria.
And is Gorachandra there or is he still in London?
Yeah, but he's in another floor.
Oh, he's on another floor. And who's running the restaurant?
The employees. On my right hand, the chef, which she's very diligent.
Okay, very good.
Yes, so I got the chance to meet my family.
And where is that place in Spain? Is it near Madrid or is it near Barcelona? Where?
In the north, near Santander.
Okay.
Dandava Maharaj.
Yeah,
Your mother speaks English?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, Dandava, nice to meet you.
The same, the same.
so does your mother live in Spain?
No, now we live in Switzerland, but before we lived in Venezuela all the time.
So where did you live in Venezuela?
In Maracay,
In Maracay, okay.
near Caracas.
All right. And Maracay, is that near Valencia?
Yes, yes. Half hour to Valencia.
Okay. Very nice.
Bueno, enjoy your class. And I let you with Falguni. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dandava.
Gusto en verte.
Gracias. Saludos desde España.
Okay. Muchas gracias.
Maharaj, I got another question.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
It says here, the Ramananda Roy offered oblations to his forefathers. And what is the significance in following those rituals, and are we to do them?
I don't know. I'd have to see what is the reference to?
Okay, let's see if I have the reference from that. Right. It's Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, text 15.
Verse what?
Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8.
Yeah, I know it's chapter 8. And what verse?
15.
15?
Yes.
Can you read it?
Let's see. Chapter 8. Chapter 15. Many Brahmanas, following the Vedic principles, accompanied Ramananda Roy. According to the Vedic rituals, Ramananda Roy took his bath and offered oblation to his forefathers.
Okay, can you read the Bengali?
Tanra songe bahu aila vaidika brahmana vidhimate kaila tenho snana di tarpana.
Okay, so this is in the beginning of the chapter, I believe, when Mahaprabhu, he goes to the Godavari River, and Ramananda Roy is there with many ritual brahmanas and everything. Ramananda Roy is like the governor, you can say like the governor, and Mahaprabhu is a traveling sannyasi, and Mahaprabhu is spontaneously attracted. And there are many, many, many hundreds of people with Ramananda Roy, and he's going there, and this is some ritual that's happening, that he's bathing. So then at that time, Mahaprabhu was able to meet with him, and Mahaprabhu spontaneously attracted. So the question is, why is Ramananda Roy offering prayers to his forefathers? Because Ramananda Roy at the time is engaged in some form of ritual. This isn't during the time of Mahaprabhu's and Ramananda Roy's intimate talks. This is when Mahaprabhu first meets Ramananda Roy, and Ramananda Roy has come there to the Godavari with many Brahmins, and he's engaged in a ritual. So part of the ritual is to offer prayers to his forefathers and offer prayers to the Brahmins. This is all part of the Vedic procedure. So it's not, somebody asked, well, what is the importance of that? Well, this is part of the ritual that Ramananda Roy is doing. And this ritual is being conducted by the Brahmins with Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy he's not a Brahmin. He's not a Brahmin, and he's a very important person. So the important persons, they are advised by the Brahmins. And at one point in his conversations with Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Roy objects that you are a sannyasi, and how is it that you are asking me questions and I am giving you answers when you are the qualified person, you are a Brahmin, you are a sannyasi, he says to Mahaprabhu, and I'm not qualified at all. So how can I be chosen to give answers? And Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kaninoi Jai Krishna Tattva Veda Se Guru Hoy. Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Nyasi. I may be a Brahmin because sannyasi means a Brahmin. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi. I may be a Brahmin and I may be a sannyasi. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kaninoi. And you may be considered by others to be like a Shudra. Actually, he's not a Shudra, he's a Kshatriya, but he's anyone who's not a Brahmin in those days, so was considered to be not so qualified. So even if Mahaprabhu, he says, even if I'm considered a Brahmin and I'm considered a sannyasi and you're considered a Shudra, Kiba Vibra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kaninoi, Jai Krishna Tattva Veda. If you know Jai Krishna Tattvaveta, you know the truth, you know about Krishna, you are a devotee of the Lord. Jai Krishna Tattvavetu Se Guru Hoy, then you may be accepted as a Brahmin. We don't depend on formalities. But at the beginning of the chapter, when Mahaprabhu meets Ramananda Roy, Mahaprabhu comes there as a visitor, and Ramananda Roy is taking a bath accompanied by the Brahmins, and it's a ritual is going on. And at that time, Ramananda Roy and Mahaprabhu, they see each other, and then they agree to meet later. They agree to meet later without all these other ritualistic Brahmins and other persons accompanying Ramananda Roy. Mahaprabhu agrees to meet Ramananda Roy later in the evening alone. So this is what's happening at the beginning. Why is Ramananda Roy offering prayers to his forefathers? Because that's part of the ritual. He's engaged in a ritual conducted by the Brahmins. That's part of the ritual. That's what they do. You know, first you offer prayers to the forefathers, you offer prayers to the Brahmins, you offer this, you offer that. That's all part of the ritual. So repeat the question, Miss Saraswati.
So what was the significance in those rituals, following those rituals? Oh, sorry. Yeah. And are we to do them? I mean, normally we are just doing the closest to a ritual is we do the Vaishnava Seva and Shraddha ceremony normally, right? I mean, that's the closest that we do in our mission.
Not when you're the governor and you're conducted by 1,000 Brahmins to the Godavari. You don't just offer prayers to the Vaishnavas and then go away. That's not what Ramananda Roy is doing. He's there as part of a ritualistic ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Mahaprabhu meets him there. Ramananda Roy comes there to bathe, but he's accompanied by 1,000 persons? Does anyone here, when they go to bathe, do they usually bathe accompanied by 1,000 persons? I usually bathe, there's nobody else in the bathroom. So why didn't he just dip his toe into the water and throw 3 drops of water on his head and go? Because that's not what was happening. It was a ritual. He was part of a proceeding. He was not a Brahmin, and he was being conducted by many Brahmins, and they told him how to go about this whole ritual. He's not the head of it. Is that difficult to understand? Hello?
No, it's not difficult. I will pass on the person who sent the question, she couldn't make it, but she will hear the recording later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's understood, Maharaj. There is another question also from Ramananda Roy, about Ramananda Roy. Unless somebody else has a question.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Shall I do?
Go ahead. I mute.
Okay, Maharaj, Dandava, one question. For a person that doesn't know, who's really looking for spirituality in so many ways, and but it still doesn't understand the path through getting a guru and this type of mentality where people don't understand that you have to come to a proper guru to understand anything that is real in spirituality. how would you advise to raise interest or to present it in a way that is palatable to a person with this type of mentality? I don't know if I explained myself properly.
Well, the first thing I would do is try to have a conversation with the person and let the person speak so that I could understand something of the person's mentality. And then based on what the person's mentality is, then I could know how I can talk to the person, how I can preach to the person. But I think it's first, as I said before, I think in those kind of situations, it's first necessary to let the other person speak for some time so that you can understand who you're talking with. Unless, of course, you say, well, this is already a good friend, somebody I already know, etc. But I would assume that somebody who is interested in preaching something or giving something of Krishna consciousness, he would first want to engage in some kind of discussion and let the other person talk. Otherwise, it's very difficult to just start speaking blah, 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 without knowing what the person wants to hear. You have to let the person first speak something. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes, totally. The thing is that usually, I mean, not usually, but in this case, particularly in this case, the person in question is, into tantra, different type of yoga styles and different type of searches. Like definitely is a person who is looking, is interested in a spiritual life. But of course,
Who's that next to you?
It's called Maya.
Huh?
It's a little girl called Maya.
It's a little
Girl called Maya.
Is my niece, Maharaj, my niece. She's very little.
Maya. Ven acá, un momentico.
And her
No,
name is
se fue
Maya. You're
corriendo.
gonna see why.
She's very shy, huh? Maya, ¿cómo estás?
No, she's
¿Dónde
not
están
shy.
ahora?
I think she's going somewhere else.
Maya,
I think she's
¿dónde
going
están
up.
ahora? ¿En qué parte están? ¿Cómo se llama ese lugar?
Se llama Osnayo, Santander.
Mira,
Santander.
Santander.
El
Santander.
desastre.
Santander. Ese es el nombre del
Ya
lugar.
voy. Se llama Santander. Creo que se mató. Creo que se mataron allá arriba.
¿Cómo que se llama?
Ay, no. Hola, Maharaj.
Y ese Maya, ¿cuántos años tiene?
¿Cuántos años tienes?
Tiene 4 o 5.
Manito.
Tiene 4 o 5.
5, sí.
The smallest known adult insect is parasitic wasp. Dijo Omorfa
Ajá. Entonces, esa es la pregunta, Maharaj. Por supuesto que la persona está interesada, por supuesto, y le estoy contando un poco de cuál es la situación. La persona está buscando, la persona quiere entender acerca de la vida espiritual, pero...
¿Y cuántos
bueno,
años
pues,
tiene esta persona?
37.
All right, okay.
So it's not a spring chicken.
So I'll return to speaking in English. So,
Ajá, ajá, ajá.
you know, there is no set formula for talking to somebody. There's no one way of speaking to person. Just like you've seen with a jewel, like a diamond or a ruby, they have many different faces. The stone is cut, so there are many different angles and planes and everything. So like that, there's no set way of speaking to somebody about the necessity of having a guru or anything. Sometimes it happens in very mysterious ways. We know that. like one time, I wasn't even preaching, I was just talking about how I was thinking about somebody I knew whose name was, who Govinda Maharaj called Jonathan. Govinda Maharaj called that person Janardan. His name was Jonathan, but Govinda Maharaj thought his name was Janardan, which it was, and Govinda Maharaj said, "Who gave you that name?" Because Nata means, Jana means a person, and Janardan means the Lord of that person. But the person wasn't Indian; he was American, so his name was Jonathan. So Govinda Maharaj said, "Who gave you that name?" Anyway, this Jonathan, he met Prabhupada, he met Guru Maharaj, he met Govinda Maharaj, he met so many persons, but he never saw the necessity of taking initiation from a guru. And one time I wasn't even talking to that person. I was just talking about that person. I was saying, oh, how unfortunate it is that he's known so many gurus and so many qualified teachers, but he didn't think about taking initiation from any of them. And I said, very unfortunate. And I didn't mention his name, but one person was from England, from London. Actually, that person's not originally from London, but living in London. That person heard and was thinking that I could be talking about them, because I said, oh, he's met so many gurus and he's so unfortunate that he couldn't take shelter of any of them. And when that person heard that, he became very moved. And then he said to me, please give me initiation. And I wasn't even talking to that person. I wasn't even talking about that person. I was talking about somebody else. And I was just saying, oh, how unfortunate it is that that person met so many gurus, but didn't think of taking shelter of any of them. And the person thought, this is me that he's talking about. And then that person became very moved and said, yes, I want to take initiation. So I gave that person initiation, but I wasn't trying to convince that person. I wasn't even talking about that person. So the Lord can, many different ways. There's no way of, lesson. Maybe there is, like preaching 101, how to preach to somebody to take initiation from a guru, but everybody will approach a guru with different reasons. They're not, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, 4 persons approach Krishna. One person is curious or inquisitive. That's one. A second person is financially distressed, praying to the Lord and approaching the Lord because he needs money. That's the second kind, materially distressed. Third person is somebody who's in search of the absolute truth, right? Well, first is, what is it? 4 kinds of persons. One is inquisitive, one is one is in need, one is in search of the absolute truth, and
actually a saintly person and suffering.
What?
A saintly person and the one suffering.
Yeah. The distress, the distress, somebody who's in agony, somebody who's suffering, the distressed, the desire of somebody who's desiring wealth, somebody who's inquisitive, and someone who's looking for the absolute truth or is looking for the truth. So person who's distressed, like can't seem to make The person who can't seem to be successful at anything in this world, so they're distressed. Somebody who needs money, can never make ends meet. They go to the Lord praying for wealth or praying for the Lord to help them. Then there's a person who's inquisitive, and then there's a person who's in search of the absolute truth. So 4 kinds of persons. So these kind of different persons that can come to the Lord. So obviously each of them will have a different way of seeing, why do I need a guru? Oh, you need a guru because first the person's distressed. They're looking for a guru who can help them. Then person distressed, somebody who's in need of money, someone who's distressed, who's very much in anxiety, someone who's looking for money, someone who's inquisitive, someone who's looking for the absolute truth. Those 4 different kinds of persons approach Krishna. None of them are pure devotees. Obviously, you would preach to each person in a different way. just in general, to somebody who's very disturbed, who's very distressed, you're going to have, preach in such a way you can say, how would you say, the what is it, the peace formula? They say that, the verse that ends, Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvam Chanti,
Bhuktaram Yajñatapasam
Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka
Maheshwaram.
Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvam Chanti. Can you give me the verse?
Yatma Mam Shantim Ruchati.
Okay. And it starts out. Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvam Shantim. What is it? Last line?
Gyatva Mam Shantim Ruchati. Gyatva Mam Shantim Ruchati.
Okay. Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. One who knows this attains lasting peace. But it starts out, I'm the enjoyer of all Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam. I'm the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, and the Lord of all worlds. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. I'm the friend of all living entity. One who knows this about me attains lasting peace. So obviously, someone who's very distressed, very disturbed, then they may want to hear something like this, especially Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna is the friend of everyone. He will take, because you're dear to the Lord, because you're a friend to the Lord, he will help you. He will not allow you to remain distressed. I mean, there's so many ways of preaching to people. And someone who's in search of wealth, you preach to that person in a different way that, how would you preach to someone in search of wealth? Well, we're offering a flower on the altar, but the Lord is not in need of a flower. The Lord, there are millions of flowers growing everywhere in this whole earth, and the Lord, and all those flowers are the property of the Lord. He's not in need of, he doesn't need anything from you, but he's, everything is the Lord's. And we can say, And you could preach to the person in search of wealth very different ways. You could say that in this world, Lakshmi is chanchala. She moves from one place to the other. She doesn't stay in one place, but she's always situated at the Lord's lotus feet. So the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is always at the Lord's lotus feet. And that's real wealth. Real wealth is, in this world, any wealth that anyone has is chanchala. Lakshmi is chanchala. She goes from one place to the other, and your karma will be used up. Someone's good karma will be used up. I mean, you can preach to people according to their needs. You can preach to them. Someone who's distressed. And then there's a way of preaching to them. Like Prabhupada, he said when he went to meet Indira Gandhi, he was going to talk to her about helping his society, but then he said he found her so distressed because some astrologer told her she was going to be assassinated. And this is true. I remember Prabhupada saying that. And he said that in 1976, and Indira Gandhi, and then Prabhupada left in 1977. He passed away, he left this world. And Indira Gandhi was assassinated, I think, in 1985. But her astrologers told her 10 years before that she would be assassinated, and she was very disturbed. So she was distressed. And Prabhupada said he just tried to talk to her and comfort her like one would comfort a child. Well, there's different ways of talking to people. You know, how do you get them to accept a guru? Well, some people, they'll never accept a guru, because they haven't developed spiritually enough to even have interest in accepting a guru. So you have to, the first thing I said is you have to listen to the person. You have to know what that person's mentality is before you can even talk to them. I can't just give, add milk, add 2 eggs and some flour, stir them together, then put in some yeast, cook for, this is not a cookbook, not just a cooking lesson. You don't just tell somebody how to make, how do you make eggplant? Well, first get some plants and then put in 2 eggs. Then you can stir them together. You can make eggplant. What can you add? It's not a recipe. This is not a recipe book. Okay. Where is that? Lavanya Moyi. Lavanya Moyi, is that the deity you're showing me?
Well, Maharaj,
How come
I've got my phone on because that's got the sound, and then we've got you on the computer so everyone can see you. So that's why I've lived in 2 places. That is a picture of the deities. Yeah, that's Mahaprabhu.
That's there. That's in the temple. That's the big Mahaprabhu.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's big Mahaprabhu.
He's our big Mahaprabhu.
I don't know why my head is there. I'm in the picture. Yeah, that's big Mahaprabhu in the West London.
Okay. Anyway, Gaurachandra, I'm just answering your question to avoid, I'm answering your question to avoid answering your question.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. They have been very helpful.
Okay.
Very nicely explained, Maharaj. Very nice.
Do you have any more questions from Anonymous?
I just have one last bit from that previous question, which the Anonymous sent me after a little while. So he's saying, regarding the rituals that we were talking about from Ramananda Roy, he says, if we follow this, are we following these Vedic rules to our forefathers as we are indebted to them? Is that why they offer the rituals to the forefathers, because they feel indebted to them?
Yeah, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a verse by, what is it, Yamunacharya? He says, you know, what is the verse? Oblations to the forefathers. I bid you farewell, that, you know, now I can only serve Krishna. I think that is enough for me. Let's see.
Is that from the Prapana Jivanamrita?
Maybe it's probably in there, but it's from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
I think the Subhasini Didi knows.
Maharaj, is it Madhavendra Puri? Is it that one you're referring to? Sandhya Vandanam Bhadramastu. That starts like that.
Is that the one that Gurudev recited in his last days?
Yes, yeah.
No, I'm talking about a verse where it says, you know, oblations to the forefathers, all this. I bid you farewell. Now I can only serve Krishna. I think that is enough for me. You don't have to find that verse. I never knew that verse by heart, but I can look it up. Let's see. I'm sure it's in the Prapana Jivanamrita also. So the idea is one who has taken shelter of Krishna has no debt to forefathers, etc. Now I'll find that verse. There's a verse. Let me see if this is. Well, I found one verse, but this is not the one I was thinking of. Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitrinam nakinkaro nayam rini charajan sarvatmana ya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam paririthyakartam. O king, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, will offer shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away, since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. One who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately. But that's not the verse I was thinking of. I was thinking of... Can someone find that verse? I don't know. I'm sure it's in the Prapana Jivanamrita. The one who had taken shelter of the Lord has no duties to one's forefathers, to etc. You know. Anyway, it's getting late. It's either from Yamunacharya or is it? Let me see if I can find it. Look for Prapana Jivanamrita.
Maharaj, I have a copy of the Prapanam Jivanamritam in front of me. Do you remember what the verse starts?
No, I don't. It's a very famous verse, but I'm a very unfamous rememberer.
I think I have it, Maharaj.
And he says, I bid adieu to you, or something like that. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound like this one. In the Prapanam Jivanamritam, it says from Bhagavatam 11.5.41. The translation is, O King, one who abandons all worldly obligations and wholeheartedly surrenders unto Mukunda, the exclusive shelter of all beings in every respect. Such a person is no longer indebted to the demigods, sages, other life forms, friends and relatives, mankind and ancestors.
Yeah, I think I just read that. That's from the 11th canto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that. So, but there's one verse, I think it's by Yamunacharya, where he says all these different obligations. I bid thee adieu. Now that I've taken shelter of the Lord. Okay, that'll be the homework for him. Let me just see if I get one last chance. No.
Maharaj, there's this prayer by Madhavendra Puri that it's also similar, like, oh, my evening prayer, all good unto you. Oh, my morning bath, I bid you goodbye.
Yeah, that's the verse.
Yeah, so that's the one, Sandhya Vandana Bhadramastu Bhavato Bo Snana Tubhyam Namo, that one.
So how does that verse begin?
Sandhya Vandana Bhadramastu Bhavato Bo Snana Tubhyam Namo. That's
Okay. Can you, Krishna Kishore, can you look it up in the see if it's in the Prapana Jivanamrita? I believe it is. You're quoting Madhavendra Puri.
Yes, Maharaj, this is Madhavendra Puri. Yeah. It says like, then oh, demigods and forefathers, please excuse me. I'm unable to perform any more offerings for your pleasure. It goes like that. Yeah.
So where is that at?
Actually, I'm sure it is in Prapana Jivanamritam, and also Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada quotes in some purports in Srimad Bhagavatam, some purports here. I'm just looking at from the Veda base in the purport of Srila Prabhupada.
You're reading it from where?
From the Veda base, from Srila Prabhupada quotes in the one of the purports in Srimad
So
Bhagavatam.
tell me the first words slowly of the verse.
Sandhya Vandana Bhadramastu.
Panja.
Sandhya Vandana. Sandhya.
I found it in the Prapana Jivanamrita. It's verse 17. Atmani Shepa. In the
Okay.
Atmani Shepa. Sri Prapana Jivanamrita.
Atmani Shepa.
Yes, it's verse 17.
Of which chapter?
Seventh. The
Chapter
seventh.
Nikshepa. Full surrender.
Yeah, I don't it has a chapter number.
Seventh, Maharaj.
Huh?
Okay.
Seventh.
Okay.
Seventh. Yeah.
I don't have the Prapana Jivanamrita with me, but
it's also, Maharaj, this is also in the Affectionate Guidance by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadeva Goswami Maharaj.
yeah, but I understand it's quoted, but I want to find out where it's quoted from. So the Prapana Jivanamrita, let me get that because it'll tell where it's from. Okay, I have Prapana Jivanamrita. What is it? Full self-surrender. Then which verse?
17.
17. Okay. Okay. Sandhya Vandanam Bhadram Astu. Sandhya Bandhana Bhadramastu Bhavato Bo Snana Tubhyam Namo Bodeva Pitarascha Cha Tarpana Vido Naham Shama Shamyatam Yatra Kvapi. Okay. Sandhya Bandhana.
This is the verse that Srila Gurudev recited, isn't it? And he asked us to put it on the in his room in front of him. Yeah, that was like in his last days.
Sanyabandhanam Bhadramastu Bhavato Bo Snanatubhyam Namo Bodeva Pitarascha Tarpana Vido Naham Shama Shamyatam Chatra Yatra Kvapi Nishadya Yarava Kulotam Sasya Kamsha Dvisha Smaram Agam Harami Tadalam Manye Kim Anyena Me. Then he says, Mudgam Mam Nigadantu Niti Nipunam Brantam Muhur Vaidika Mandam Bandava Sanchaya Jaradiyam Muktadara Sodara Unmatam Danino Viveka Chatura. Okay. Let the sharp moralist accuse me of being illusion. I do not care. Experts in Vedic activities may slander me as being misled. Friends and relatives may call me frustrated. My brothers may call me a fool. The wealthy may point me out as mad, and the learned philosophers may assert that I am much too proud. Still, my mind does not budge an inch from the determination to serve the lotus feet of Govinda, though I am unable to do so. So, okay. I will say goodbye to everyone. Now it is late. Let me see. We'll say goodbye to everyone. We can begin next week with where are these verses from? I believe they should be in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we'll look them up and talk about them next week. Okay. My dandavats to everyone. Have a good dinner.
No, pranams, Maharaj.
Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.
Bye.
He's finally saying goodbye. Ciao.
Vamos a decir adiós a las personas en España. ¿Eh? Adiós,
Le
adiós. A
vamos a
todos.
decir chao. Dice, chao.
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 ¿Dónde va, Maharaj?
¿Dónde va?
Maharaj.
Janardan Maharaj, please.
Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad, devotee.
Dhanyavad.